63% of adults over 60 have severe mitochondrial dysfunction and don't know it. Not a guess. Published data. Peer-reviewed. I see it every shift. A 72-year-old comes into my ER. Can't breathe. Legs won't hold. Brain is fog. Labs come back. Nothing technically wrong. Vitals are borderline. So what do? Send them home. Tell them to rest. Maybe adjust a medication. That's a lie. And I'm done telling it. Something is extremely wrong. Their cells are dying from the inside. Mitochondria, the only thing keeping every organ in your body running, are shutting down. One by one. Silently. Right now. Inside you. You were told to eat less fat. Move more. Take a statin. Drink your coffee and be grateful you woke up. You did all of it. And your body kept getting worse. Slower. Weaker. More inflamed. That wasn't a plan. That was a distraction. Handed to you by an industry that makes nothing when you're healthy. Nothing. They need you tired. They need you dependent. They need you confused enough to keep buying what doesn't work. Your coffee sits in front of you every single morning. And every single morning you waste it. Plain coffee is a missed opportunity. It spikes cortisol, crashes energy, drives inflammation. Then you blame your age. Stop blaming your age. In this video, we will reveal 5 specific compounds you drop into that morning cup that boosted mitochondrial biogenesis by 24% in 8 weeks. Published research, real subjects, real results. They're ranked from least to most powerful. And number 1 is something almost no doctor has ever mentioned to a patient. Not once. Every reference is in the description. Go check. Tell me in the comments right now, how old are you? Where are you watching from? I read every single comment and I answer. Now, number 5. And I need your full attention here because most people skip this one and regret it. Number 5. Tart cherry powder. Most people think of tart cherries as a pie ingredient or maybe a juice they drink before bed. But tart cherry powder in its concentrated form is one of the most potent anti-inflammatory and mitochondrial support compounds you can find in nature. And almost nobody is putting it in their coffee. That is a massive mistake, especially after 60. A study published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition gave adults aged 55 to 75 a daily dose of tart cherry concentrate equivalent to about 1 tablespoon of powder for 8 weeks. The results showed a 25% reduction in inflammatory markers, including C-reactive protein and interleukin-6. Why does inflammation matter for mitochondria? Because chronic low-grade inflammation, which doctors call inflammaging, is one of the top destroyers of mitochondrial function in older adults. When inflammation stays elevated day after day, it creates a toxic environment inside your cells that damages mitochondrial DNA directly. Mitochondrial DNA is much more vulnerable than the DNA in your cell nucleus because it has almost no protective covering. Think of it as an engine running without an air filter. Every bit of inflammatory debris that passes through causes permanent damage. Tart cherry powder acts like a powerful filter, neutralizing inflammatory molecules before they reach the mitochondria. A separate study in the journal Nutrients found that the specific anthocyanins in tart cherries, which are the compounds responsible for their deep red color, increased the activity of superoxide dismutase by 22% in older adults. Superoxide dismutase is one of the most important antioxidant enzymes your mitochondria rely on to protect themselves during energy production. Every time mitochondria make ATP, they also produce free radicals as a byproduct. Superoxide dismutase neutralizes these free radicals before they can cause harm. With aging, your natural production of this enzyme drops significantly. Tart cherry anthocyanins help restore it toward youthful levels. Now here is how to add it to your coffee. Use 1 tablespoon of freeze-dried tart cherry powder and stir it into your finished cup of coffee. Freeze-dried is important because heat-dried or spray-dried versions lose up to 60% of their anthocyanin content during processing. The freeze-drying method preserves the full polyphenol profile. The taste adds a slightly fruity tartness to your coffee that most people find surprisingly pleasant. It pairs especially well with darker roasts. You want to look for Montmorency tart cherry powder specifically, as this variety has been the subject of most published clinical research and contains the highest concentration of anthocyanins among cherry varieties. A 2020 study published in Food and Function found that Montmorency tart cherries contained 31% more anti-inflammatory polyphenols than other tart cherry varieties tested. The timing with coffee also matters. Coffee itself is a rich source of chlorogenic acid, and when chlorogenic acid combines with cherry anthocyanins in the gut, they enhance each other's absorption. A study in the European Journal of Nutrition showed that consuming multiple polyphenol sources together increased total antioxidant bioavailability by 27% compared to taking them individually. So your coffee is not just carrying the cherry powder to your stomach. It is actively helping your body absorb more of the protective compounds. For anyone over 60 dealing with joint stiffness, chronic soreness, or just that general feeling of low-level inflammation that never quite goes away, tart cherry powder in your morning coffee is a simple and evidence-backed first step toward protecting the mitochondria your body desperately needs to keep running. That was number 5, and it already goes deep into cellular protection. But number 4 targets something even more fundamental inside your energy-producing machinery. Number 4, beetroot powder. This one might sound strange in coffee, but hear me out because the science is remarkable. Beetroot powder is one of the most researched nitric oxide boosters on the planet, and nitric oxide is absolutely essential for mitochondrial function after 60. Your body naturally produces nitric oxide to relax blood vessels and deliver oxygen to tissues. But production drops by roughly 50% between the ages of 40 and 70. That is a catastrophic decline because mitochondria are completely dependent on oxygen to produce ATP. Without adequate nitric oxide, blood vessels constrict, oxygen delivery slows down, and mitochondria begin to suffocate inside your own cells. A landmark study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology in 2021 gave adults aged 60 to 78 a daily dose of beetroot powder equivalent to 400 milligrams of dietary nitrate. After just 2 weeks, the participants showed a 16% improvement in oxygen delivery to skeletal muscle and a 19% increase in exercise efficiency, meaning their mitochondria were producing the same amount of energy using less oxygen. That is a direct measurement of improved mitochondrial efficiency. The mitochondria were not just getting more fuel. They were using that fuel more intelligently. Another study published in Hypertension found that daily beetroot consumption reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 8 points in older adults within 4 weeks. High blood pressure is directly linked to mitochondrial dysfunction because it forces the heart to work harder, which increases oxidative stress throughout the entire cardiovascular system. By lowering blood pressure naturally, beetroot powder reduces the oxidative burden on mitochondria in the heart, brain, kidneys, and every other organ. A 2022 paper in the journal Redox Biology discovered something even more impressive. Dietary nitrate from beetroot activated a mitochondrial pathway called the SIRT3 pathway, which is a sirtuin protein that sits inside mitochondria and directly regulates their function. SIRT3 activation improved mitochondrial membrane potential by 23% in aging cells, meaning the mitochondria could hold a stronger electrical charge, which is exactly what they need to produce ATP efficiently. Think of mitochondrial membrane potential like water pressure in a hydroelectric dam. The stronger the pressure, the more electricity you generate. SIRT3 keeps that pressure high. Now here is how to use it. Add 1 teaspoon of organic beetroot powder to your brewed coffee and stir well. The taste is earthy and slightly sweet, and it blends with coffee better than you might expect, especially with medium or light roasts. The color will change your coffee to a slightly reddish-brown tone, which looks unusual but is completely normal. You want raw, organic beetroot powder that has not been cooked or heavily processed, because high heat destroys the nitrate content. Some brands actually list the nitrate concentration on the label, and you want at least 300 milligrams of nitrate per serving for meaningful clinical benefit. The interaction with coffee here is particularly interesting. A 2019 study in the British Journal of Nutrition found that caffeine and dietary nitrate together produced a synergistic effect on vascular function that neither compound achieved alone. Caffeine stimulates the central nervous system and increases metabolic demand, while nitric oxide from beetroot ensures the blood vessels can dilate enough to meet that increased demand. The result is more efficient oxygen delivery precisely when your cells need it most, which is in the morning when your body is transitioning from sleep to wakefulness and mitochondria are ramping up energy production for the day ahead. For people over 60 who feel winded climbing stairs, sluggish in the morning, or notice that physical tasks take more effort than they used to, beetroot powder addresses the root cause by restoring oxygen delivery to starving mitochondria. Number 4 is a game changer for oxygen delivery. But number 3 works on an entirely different level, directly repairing the internal machinery of the mitochondria themselves. But before we continue, if you have been enjoying the video so far, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss more videos like this. Number 3. PQQ, pyrroloquinoline quinone. This compound has a complicated name but a simple job. PQQ is one of the only known substances that can stimulate the growth of brand new mitochondria in cells that have already lost them. That process is called mitochondrial biogenesis, and it is the holy grail of anti-aging research. Most antioxidants protect existing mitochondria. PQQ actually tells your body to make more of them. A study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry gave adults over 55 a daily dose of 20 milligrams of PQQ for 8 weeks. At the end of the trial, participants showed a 28% increase in markers of mitochondrial biogenesis compared to the placebo group. They also showed a 13% reduction in C-reactive protein, a key marker of systemic inflammation. The researchers concluded that PQQ activated PGC1-alpha, the master regulator gene that switches on the production of new mitochondria. This is the same gene that gets activated by intense endurance exercise and caloric restriction. PQQ flips that switch without requiring either. A separate study in the journal Food Style 21 found that PQQ supplementation improved short-term memory scores by 15% and attention scores by 17% in adults over 50 within just 12 weeks. The cognitive improvements were directly correlated with improved mitochondrial function in neural tissue. Your brain consumes about 20% of your body's total energy despite being only 2% of your body weight. It is the most mitochondria-dense organ you have. And when brain mitochondria decline, cognition is the first thing that suffers. PQQ helps reverse that by building new mitochondria specifically in the brain cells that need them most. The mechanism works like this. PQQ activates a signaling cascade that goes through CREB, a protein that controls gene expression in neurons, and then activates PGC1-alpha downstream. This double activation ensures that the new mitochondria being built are specifically targeted to neurons and other high-energy demand cells. No other known dietary compound triggers this exact cascade with this level of specificity. Here's how to add it to your coffee. PQQ comes in capsule form, and the easiest method is to open one 20 milligram capsule and pour the powder directly into your hot coffee. The powder dissolves easily and has almost no taste. If you find a brand that sells PQQ as a loose powder, even better. Just measure out 20 milligrams, which is a very small amount, roughly a tiny pinch, and stir it in. The heat from coffee does not degrade PQQ. A stability study published in the Journal of Food Science confirmed that PQQ maintained over 92% of its bioactivity at temperatures up to 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So your coffee is well within the safe range. The combination with coffee is actually strategic beyond just convenience. Caffeine increases cyclic AMP levels inside cells, and cyclic AMP is a messenger molecule that works alongside PQQ to amplify the activation of PGC1-alpha. A 2020 paper in Biochemical Pharmacology found that combining caffeine with PQQ-like compounds increased mitochondrial biogenesis signaling by 34% compared to PQQ alone. So coffee does not just carry PQQ to your cells. It actively amplifies its most important effect. For sourcing, look for PQQ derived from natural fermentation rather than synthetic chemical processes. Fermentation-derived PQQ has been shown to have higher bioavailability and is the form used in most published clinical trials. You want a standalone PQQ supplement, not one buried inside a multivitamin at an insufficient dose. The clinically effective dose is 20 milligrams daily, and consistency is essential. The studies that showed results were based on daily use over a minimum of 8 weeks. This is not a compound that works overnight, but the mitochondrial changes it produces are profound and long-lasting. PQQ is remarkable for building new mitochondria. But number 2 introduces a compound that does something arguably even more important, clearing out the damaged ones that are holding you back. Number 2, astaxanthin. If you have never heard of astaxanthin, you are about to learn about what many researchers now call the most powerful antioxidant in nature. It is a bright red carotenoid pigment produced by microalgae, and it is the compound that gives salmon, shrimp, and flamingos their distinctive pink and red colors. But its antioxidant power is in a completely different league from anything else you have encountered. Published studies show that astaxanthin is 6,000 times more powerful than vitamin C, 800 times more powerful than CoQ10, and 550 times more powerful than vitamin E at neutralizing singlet oxygen-free radicals. And here is what makes it uniquely important for mitochondria. Unlike most antioxidants, which can only work on one side of a cell membrane, astaxanthin spans the entire membrane. It anchors itself across the lipid bilayer of the mitochondrial membrane, protecting both the inside and outside simultaneously. No other antioxidant can do this. A study published in Marine Drugs in 2020 gave adults aged 55 to 70 a daily dose of 12 milligrams of astaxanthin for 16 weeks. Muscle biopsies revealed a 36% reduction in mitochondrial oxidative damage and a 19% improvement in mitochondrial membrane integrity. The mitochondria in the astaxanthin group were structurally healthier, held a stronger membrane potential, and produced ATP more efficiently than those in the placebo group. A separate trial published in the Journal of Clinical Biochemistry and Nutrition found that 12 milligrams of daily astaxanthin reduced markers of lipid peroxidation by 40% in older adults within 8 weeks. Lipid peroxidation is the process by which free radicals attack the fat molecules in cell membranes, and mitochondrial membranes are especially vulnerable because they are made almost entirely of fat. When lipid peroxidation damages the mitochondrial membrane, the mitochondrion loses its ability to maintain the electrical gradient it needs to produce energy. It is like poking holes in a balloon. The pressure escapes and the whole system collapses. Astaxanthin seals those holes and prevents new ones from forming. Another critical study from the journal Mitochondria in 2021 found that astaxanthin activated the NRF2 pathway, which is the body's master antioxidant defense system. NRF2 activation upregulated the production of glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and catalase, the 3 most important antioxidant enzymes that mitochondria depend on for protection. Glutathione production alone increased by 31% in the astaxanthin group. This means astaxanthin does not just act as an antioxidant itself. It also tells your body to produce more of its own internal antioxidant defenses. It is both a shield and an alarm system. Here is how to use it with your coffee. Astaxanthin is fat-soluble, which means it absorbs best when consumed with dietary fat. If you are already adding MCT oil or any other healthy fat to your coffee, astaxanthin will absorb beautifully alongside it. Take one 12 mg soft gel with your morning coffee. You can also pierce the soft gel and squeeze the oil directly into the cup, but most people find swallowing the capsule with a sip of coffee easier and equally effective. The key is consistency and the presence of fat for absorption. A 2019 study in the European Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences confirmed that astaxanthin bioavailability increased by 50% when consumed alongside a fat source compared to taking it on an empty stomach. Your coffee with a splash of cream, coconut oil, or any fat source creates the perfect absorption environment. Look for natural astaxanthin derived from the microalga Haematococcus pluvialis. Synthetic astaxanthin exists, but studies have shown that the natural algal form has 20 to 50 times higher antioxidant activity than the synthetic version. The natural form is what all the major clinical trials have used, and it is widely available online and in health food stores. For anyone over 60, protecting existing mitochondria from oxidative destruction is just as important as building new ones, and astaxanthin is the most powerful tool available for that job. Everything we have covered so far is extraordinary. But number one operates on the deepest level of mitochondrial biology ever targeted by a natural compound. This is the one that changed everything. Number 1. Urolithin A from pomegranate extract. This is the compound that made headlines in aging research circles and left scientists genuinely stunned. Urolithin A is not something you find directly in food. It is a metabolite that your gut bacteria produce when they break down ellagitannins, which are polyphenols found in highest concentration in pomegranates. The problem is that after 60, most people's gut microbiomes have changed so significantly that they can no longer produce adequate urolithin A on their own. Studies estimate that only about 30 to 40% of adults can efficiently convert pomegranate polyphenols into urolithin A naturally. That is why supplementing with pomegranate extract concentrate for ellagitannins or with direct urolithin supplements has become one of the most exciting breakthroughs in mitochondrial science. Here's what urolithin A does that nothing else on this list can match. It triggers a process called mitophagy. Mitophagy is the cellular recycling system that identifies damaged, dysfunctional mitochondria and breaks them down so the cell can replace them with healthy new ones. Think of it as a quality control inspector on a factory floor. When a machine breaks down, the inspector tags it for removal so a new machine can take its place. Without mitophagy, damaged mitochondria pile up inside your cells like broken equipment cluttering a factory floor. They do not just take up space. They actively leak free radicals and toxic byproducts that damage everything around them. A single dysfunctional mitochondrion can trigger a chain reaction of oxidative destruction that takes out healthy neighboring mitochondria. Urolithin activates the inspector and clears out the wreckage. A landmark clinical trial published in Nature Metabolism in 2019 gave adults aged 60 to 80 a daily dose of 500 milligrams of urolithin A for 4 months. Muscle biopsies showed a 45% improvement in mitochondrial health markers, including mitophagy activation, mitochondrial membrane integrity, and ATP production efficiency. The participants also showed significant improvements in muscle endurance and walking distance without any change in their exercise habits. The researchers described urolithin A as the most significant mitochondrial renewal compound identified in the last decade. A follow-up study published in JAMA Network Open in 2022 confirmed these findings in a larger population and added that urolithin supplementation also activated AMPK, the master energy sensor enzyme, by 40% in skeletal muscle of older adults. AMPK activation triggers the same cascade of benefits as vigorous exercise, including increased fat burning, improved glucose metabolism, reduced inflammation, and critically, increased mitochondrial biogenesis. So, urolithin does not just clean out damaged mitochondria through mitophagy. It simultaneously signals the body to build replacements through biogenesis. It is a complete mitochondrial renewal system in a single compound. Here is how to use it with your morning coffee. The most accessible method is to add 1 tablespoon of high-quality pomegranate extract powder to your coffee and stir it in. Look for extracts standardized to contain at least 40% elagitannins, as this is the precursor compound your gut bacteria convert into urolithin A. The taste is mildly tart and slightly sweet, blending well with coffee. If you want to bypass the gut conversion step entirely, direct urolithin supplements are now available from several reputable brands at doses of 500 milligrams per capsule. You can open the capsule and pour it into your coffee or swallow it alongside your cup. A 2021 pharmacokinetic study in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that urolithin A maintained full stability in hot water up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit and showed no degradation when mixed with coffee. The combination with coffee is particularly powerful because caffeine independently stimulates autophagy, which is the broader cellular recycling process that includes mitophagy. A study in molecular biology of the cell demonstrated that caffeine activated autophagy markers by 26% on its own. When you combine caffeine's autophagy activation with urolithin A's specific mitophagy activation, you create a dual pathway cleaning system that clears out damaged cellular components while simultaneously targeting the most important organelle in your body, the mitochondrion. This synergy is not available from either compound alone. It only happens when they enter your system together. For sourcing pomegranate extract powder, look for organic versions that list elagitannin content on the label. Avoid pomegranate juice powders that are mostly sugar with minimal polyphenol content. You want the concentrated extract, not a juice derivative. If you choose the direct urolithin supplement route, look for brands that reference the clinical trials in their formulation and provide third-party purity testing. The clinically effective dose from the published trials is 500 milligrams daily of urolithin A. Whether you go the pomegranate extract route or the direct supplement route, the key is daily consistency over a minimum of 8 weeks to see measurable mitochondrial changes. This compound activates the deepest level of cellular renewal available without pharmaceutical intervention, and combined with your morning coffee, it transforms an ordinary daily habit into the most powerful mitochondrial therapy your body has ever received. There you have it. 5 specific things you can add to your morning coffee that are backed by published, peer-reviewed research. Tart cherry powder for inflammation control and antioxidant enzyme restoration. Beetroot powder for nitric oxide production and oxygen delivery to starving mitochondria. PQQ for directly stimulating the growth of brand new mitochondria through PGC1 alpha activation. Astaxanthin for the most powerful membrane-level antioxidant protection available in nature. And urolithin A from pomegranate, the most significant mitochondrial renewal compound discovered in the last decade, capable of clearing out damaged mitochondria and building new ones simultaneously. You do not have to add all 5 at once. Start with 1. Get comfortable with it. Then add another the following week. Within a month, your morning coffee will be the most mitochondria-friendly drink on the planet. And your body will feel the difference. If this video helped you, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another video like this. Thank you so much for watching.